I'm pretty sure there isn't, but if there is one, this is the song that I think I was probably meant to do. This is the song that sort of came. This is called The Ballad of Frankie and Johnny. Woo! And make sure that after this you stay around for Derek Nelson is one of my heroes, and the Aldermaniacs, who are a couple of my heroes. It's going to be a great night. So, yeah. Enjoy. Woo! It's The Ballad of Frankie and Johnny. Frankie was a little older, Johnny was 17. Frankie was the most beautiful man Johnny'd ever seen. Frankie said, come on over and play in the field behind my house. They set out after supper and they wasn't seen for hours. Frankie said, I dare you to kiss me on the mouth. Johnny took the chance that he'd only dreamed about. Johnny's selling cars now, and Frankie's in the bars again. Well, Frankie and Johnny were known all around the town, holding hands and kissing anytime they came around. Frankie said, I love you, Johnny, I'll always be your man. You know, no matter what, I'll be there in the end. Johnny said, I trust you, and the town just heaved a sigh, 'cause we knew Frankie was in the bars every night looking for another guy. But Johnny's selling cars now, and Frankie's in the bars again. But Johnny was on the football team, a queer and shoulder pads, watching his back in the locker rooms where the jocks would kick his ass. But Johnny never told, Johnny never cried, but sometimes he hurt so bad he wanted just to die. So Frankie wasn't perfect, but Frankie held him close, and nothing else seemed to matter once they took off all their clothes. Johnny's selling cars now, and Frankie's in the bars again. Well, Frankie been the black sheep ever since he learned to walk. His daddy was a drunkard, Mommy treated him like a dog. So he hung out by the railroad tracks with the hobos getting high, doing a trick for a quarter bag, looking for Mr. Right. He always avoided playgrounds because they seemed to make him cry. You know, since that night with Uncle Marty, he's never been a child. But Johnny's selling cars now, and Frankie's in the bars again. After graduation, the boys, they found a place. Johnny finally found happiness, you could read it on his face. But Frankie was getting moodier than he'd ever been before. Some nights Johnny find him crying in a ball down on the floor. He'd disappear for days on end and he'd never send a word. Johnny'd sit home contemplating what all this pain was for. But Johnny's selling cars now, and Frankie's in the bars again. Well, Johnny finally made his mind up. At last he took a stand. I saw him there at the end of the bar, his suitcase in his hand. Johnny said, I love him so much, my heart wants to explode. But it's time I thought of me for a change, I guess I'll have to go. Penniless and broken, he had no place to hide. So I took him in my arms, and I carried him inside. Johnny's selling cars now, and Frankie's in the bars again. I opened up a book of poetry, and I handed him a drink. He laughed just like a Bob Dylan song from the 70s, I think. It didn't matter to either of us where Frankie was that night, till the door was broken in and the boys began to fight. Frankie pulled the gun out and he fired into the air. I've never seen that look in his eyes in anybody anywhere. Johnny's selling cars now, Frankie's in the bars again. Well, Frankie started crying. Johnny took his hand. This can't go on, he said. Now I know you understand that Frankie, you're the only man that I never will forget. But it's time that I moved on before it all ends up in death. Frankie, he just nodded and dropped the pistol to the floor. He said, I know you're right, so I'll try not to love you anymore. Johnny's selling cars now and Frankie's in the bars again. Well, Johnny didn't need me, so he moved out on his own. But I think of him a lot now and all the courage he showed. But Frankie never learned it all, and he still ain't seen the light. Never happy with himself, never glad to be alive. Johnny's got a good man and they live on the edge of town. Frankie lives neath the railroad tracks, blowing gypsies, thieves, and clowns. Johnny's selling cars now and Frankie's in the bars again. Johnny's selling cars now and Frankie's in the bars again. Johnny's selling cars now and Frankie's in the bars again. Yeah!